So what are you trying to say?
What are you doing in a town like this?
I don't like you questioning me.
Why don't I pick you up at 8?
It's Halloween season, and what better way to celebrate it by reviewing one of the worst movies ever made? Yes, the movie Pigs. This has to be, without a doubt, one of the worst things I've ever seen. Back in the late 90s, I worked at a thrift store, and one day this movie came into the donations area. It had this weird cover of a cartoon pig with blood dripping from its tusks. When I saw that, I knew I had to have it. And when I watched it, oh boy, did I really feel some pain. I made it about 5 minutes through the film before I shut it off. And you're like, what, you couldn't handle it? Well, partially yes, but more to the point, you can't fucking see anything. The movie's so dark, I had no idea what was going on. Even in the daylight, it's ridiculously dark.
What are you doing here?
I was just looking.
What for?
I don't know.
It did take me a few tries to get through it, mostly because this movie is boring as fuck. There are really great bad movies that are fun to watch. This is not one of them. This movie is extremely boring. When I had finished watching the movie, I decided that I needed to cleanse this unholy abomination, and I did so by burning it in a fire. And thus, I thought I was doing the world a favor by ridding it of one more evil item. And that's where me and this movie stood for 20 years until recently when I went on to Amazon Prime and saw that it was on Amazon Prime. This just blew my mind. This was a movie that never had a DVD release and it went straight to Amazon Prime and fucking Blu-ray. Pigs, a movie that for the longest time people didn't even believe actually fucking existed. And there it is, sitting on Amazon Prime. So you know what I did? I watched it. And that's where the confusion began, because right from the very beginning, there were some things that were very different. For one, the title was completely different. It was no longer called Pigs, it was called The 13th Pig. And the opening that I had vividly remembered being the most boring part of the fucking movie was gone. Now, a part that happens about 5 minutes into the movie is the beginning. I started to wonder if the Mandela effect had gotten to me, but that's not it at all. There's actually a reason for this. And the reason is, there's fucking 3 cuts of this movie under 10 different titles. Yeah, I said that right. 10 titles, 3 cuts. You've got to be fucking shitting me. And what are the 10 titles, you may be asking? Well, here they are. Daddy's Deadly Darling, Pigs, Horror Farm, The 13th Pig, Daddy's Girl, The Strange Exorcism of Lynn Hart, The Strange Love Exorcist, Blood Pen, The Killers, and The Roadside Torture Chamber. Like, God, some of these are worse than the others and make almost no sense. I mean, The Roadside Torture Chamber? For one, there is no torture in this movie whatsoever. Unless you consider watching the movie torture, which I do, then maybe that is a good title. Pigs was released in 1973 by 1973's version of Tommy Wiseau, Mark Lawrence. He starred, directed, produced, and wrote the fucking movie. And to make things even worse, he cast his daughter, Toni Lawrence, as the female lead. Looks like James Glickenhaus wasn't the only one who fell for nepotism.
Ice cream? Yeah. Ice cream.
At its premiere, people were given bacon so that they could eat it while they watched it. Turns out a lot of that bacon was returned at the end of the movie. Pigs is often described as a ripoff of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that is just not true. It was released a full year before the massacre would even come out. I don't even know if they had started filming the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at this point. Pigs is its own movie, especially depending on which version of the movie you see. Each version's tone is set by the beginning of the film. The 13th Pig ends up being more of a surreal acid trip. Pigs feels more like a typical slasher movie. And the third cut, The Strange Exorcism of Lynn Hart, or as it's otherwise known, The Strange Love Exorcist, which is the dumbest fucking name ever, was made basically just to cash in on The Exorcist. The only difference with this film is the beginning. The rest of the movie runs just like Pigs. That feels like a good transition to talk about the beginnings of each of these movies. Let's start off with the first opening from The Strange Exorcism of Lynn Hart. The first thing you should notice if you have a brain is that this is not the same actor. Tony Lawrence had moved on to other projects. This was shot well after principal photography. We are introduced to this movie's version of Father Karras and Father Merrin.
You can't go in there, Father. It's too dangerous.
Who you would think would be very important to the plot, but after they leave this part of the movie, they're never mentioned again. I mean, they make no mention of her being possessed later on in the film. It's established that she escaped from an institution. I have never heard of an institution that uses exorcism as a form of treatment for mental illness, so this is complete and utter bullshit. Our happy little preachers enter the room and we see that Lynn is possessed by the demon of a pig? Is she possessed by Babe the Pig? Man, those hoof prints on the wall are super convincing. I mean, she is squealing like a pig and eating crap off the floor, so she must be a pig. This is really weird. And for one final insult to the audience, she squeals like a pig and dry humps the priest before running away.
Fuck me! Fuck me! Fuck me! Be gone, O Satan, in his name! Fuck me! Be gone, O demons, fuck me! Trick! From this girl! Cock! Be gone, O Satan, in his name! Be gone!
Why didn't they grab her? She just ran right past them and they didn't bother to like just pull her by the arm? Like, what the fuck? Like, all in all, this opening is super confusing, and God, is this the worst of the three. Our second opening comes from the movie Pigs, and this is the one that I originally saw. This version sees Lynn being raped by her father, and then she kills him. What a heartwarming way to start this movie.
Oh, something should be done about that man.
She is then taken to an institution where she eventually escapes by stealing a nurse's clothes.
Hello, Diane.
Oh, hello.
From there, we are treated to a Manos Hands of Fate level of driving scenes with one of the most annoying songs ever written.
Somebody's waiting for you somewhere down the road. Keep on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving.
This song will haunt you till the day you die. They play this song at the most nonsensical times during the movie, and by the 5th or 6th time you've heard it, you are ready to keep driving yourself away from this movie.
Keep on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving. Someone will be there.
The last opening is from the director's cut known as The 13th Pig. This is actually a scene in the other versions that happens after their openings. This was moved to the front of the movie to help cut Lynn's backstory. Mark Lawrence's reasons for doing this was to try to keep Lynn's character more ambiguous and her motivations more of a mystery. We meet Zambrini, who I call Zamboni, and yes, I'm gonna call him that for the rest of this review, talking to a corpse about why he has to feed the pigs human flesh.
You know, always on a full moon, the pigs get hungry. They got used to eating human flesh. First time it happened, it was an accident. They got loose in the field. There was a drunk. He was asleep. You hear that? I know you hear. They snuffed you out.
Zamboni has been stealing corpses to feed the pigs, but he won't have to do that for much longer because Lynn shows up to help him do that work for him. And this is actually where all three of the films reconnect. So going forward, I'm going to use the 13th Pig because it's in HD and it looks really clean, but if there's any deviations between the films, I'll bring it up. But we have to make one more stop before we jump into the actual plot of this movie. We have to discuss the flaws that exist with pigs on VHS. You have to understand what it was like to see this movie the way I did. It fucking sucked. Firstly, it has to be the darkest movie ever produced. Pitch Black had more light going on than this fucking movie. Every scene is so poorly lit. The scenes at night are so dark, you can barely make out what's going on. Every now and again, you'll get a flash of color, maybe some blue jeans, maybe a bit of the pigs. But that's about it. You cannot see shit.
Hello?
You're probably thinking, well, what about those day shots? They've got to be better, especially outdoors. No, they're almost as bad as the night shots.
What are you doing here?
I was just looking.
And then we go indoors where you think, hey, they have overhead lighting. This should be better. That's probably the worst. In every shot, the background is completely fucking pitch black. Like, how is that possible?
The last two disappeared.
They did not disappear. We know what happened.
That's disappearing.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
Never mind. It's no use talking to you.
Oh.
I would say it's safe to say I have some problems with the lighting in that version of the movie. But I also have some problems with the editing in this particular version of the film. For some unknown godforsaken reason, I also own the DVD version by Troma. They edited the movie together in a really weird way for this release. Every so often you'll be watching a scene and a few frames will repeat themselves. Here's a few examples.
Dan, that's Ben Sharp's dog there. What's he doing here?
Before. Yes, about a man. He had a pickup truck. Did you have... Get it!
Dan, tell him.
What, Miss Macy?
The only comparison that I can come up with to describe what you see is like a CD skipping, where it plays the same part over and over, or the editor was on crack. Could be either or, I don't know. It really makes you wonder what the original theatrical print looks like, because if it was like this, no wonder nobody ever saw this fucking movie. I mean, it's like they couldn't even be bothered to fix the few flaws for its DVD release. I mean, like, come on. But we can't complain about it any longer because the Blu-ray version does away with all of these problems. You can actually see everything and all of the edits are fixed. It doesn't help the movie from sucking, but at least we can't complain about bad edits and crappy lighting anymore. Back to the plot, Lynn arrives and she takes a job waiting tables for Zamboni. What follows may be the most awkward conversation ever put to film.
I'm looking for work.
You, want a job, huh?
I guess.
How come you stopped at my place?
I saw your sign outside.
Somebody after you?
Why would anyone be after me?
I didn't ask. Why, just if.
God, it's like having the two most awkward people in the world trying to have a conversation. And it's like this every time. This isn't some isolated incident. Every time they have a conversation, it's like this.
What are you doing here?
I was just looking.
What for?
I like to find things out for myself.
What'd you find out?
In fact, any conversation that Zamboni has is like this. The man cannot have a conversation. Period.
I understand you got a new waitress.
Yeah, she came here. A friend of mine sent her here because she's got bad asthma. Sick.
The next morning, we are introduced to two characters who are only there to fill airtime. We learn from these two dipshits that when Zamboni feeds his pigs, he feeds them people, and the people then become pigs. Now, you may be asking a logical question, what the fuck is she talking about? Well, it turns out that in the 13th Pig, this is actually a central plot point that will be important later on.
They're not pigs, you know. They're dead people. He feeds those pigs dead people, and then he eats the pigs.
We also get to meet the sheriff, who's played by soap opera star Jesse Vint, and he has some pretty fun ideas about the civil rights of corpses.
You ought to arrest him, Dan Cole.
I don't think I can do that, Miss Macy.
Why not?
I don't think there's a law against turning dead people into pigs.
There must be.
There's something else I did for you, though, Miss Macy. I looked it up for you, and it seems as though dead people just don't have any civil rights at all.
Oh, that's not just. That's not just at all.
We're gonna have to disagree with the sheriff on this because I'm pretty sure it's a crime to feed a corpse to a pig. Especially if that corpse was a murder victim or he or she was robbed from a fucking grave. What kind of asshole is this sheriff? The same type of asshole who would have Captain America's logo on his fucking Jeep. We do have a scene that only takes place in the 13th Pig. Check it out.
The great Zambrini. I am everything that frightens you. I'm Rambo. I'm the night. I'm thunder and lightning.
Now, I'm not sure if this was a dream or this really happened. Because if this happened, I'm pretty sure that the sheriff would have grounds to arrest Zamboni. But since this was never brought up again, it's a dream and thus a complete waste of fucking time.
You're everything that frightens me. You're an ugly rumor. You're a dirty lie. You're whispers behind my back.
Meanwhile, back at the diner, we get to meet Ben, some greasy fuck who can't eat a sandwich properly. Like Jesus Maramba, do you want to eat that sandwich any grosser? It makes my skin crawl. Ben decides to regale some stories about Zamboni's past.
He worked in a circus. Fell off a platform 500 feet up. They say he was dead. They took him to the morgue, and he came to. He dead, then he's alive. That's what they say.
Come on, man. It looks like you hurt poor Zamboni's feelings, and that was not very nice. Zamboni seems like a very nice guy. And then we get another classic awkward conversation between Lynn and Zamboni.
He told you I was crazy, didn't he?
Yes.
You believe him? Huh?
No,
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not?
Just in case you didn't know, these two are actually father and daughter in real life, and it makes you wonder if this is how they actually talk to each other in their daily lives. I really hope it is.
How did you sleep?
I had a bad dream.
Everybody has bad dreams. Everybody. Sure. Sure, don't worry about that.
Following that exchange, the sheriff shows up to have his own awkward time with Zamboni.
Pigs are making too much noise.
Hey, a lot of pigs make noise. Human pigs, they make a lot of noise, and I don't complain about that, do I? Huh?
There's no need to get excited, Zambrini. Just keep them in their pens. Why don't you do the decent thing and sell them?
Dan, I'll sell them when they're good and fat. Don't ask me any more questions, okay? Let that be the end of it.
All right, then keep them in their pens.
Oh, let me alone with this nonsense. Ask me questions like that.
The guy's stuttering, struggling to come up with answers, and just completely blowing off the sheriff's questions. And he doesn't stop to think for 1 minute that maybe this guy's committed a crime. What kind of moron is he? The sheriff then meets Lynn, and we get more rambling lines that are supposed to represent a conversation, I think.
This is Len, Dan.
It's pretty bad, huh?
It's all right. Oh, I'll do that.
She don't feel
I won't report it.
She won't feel so well. Why don't you go and lie down?
Thank you. Would you excuse me?
Sure.
Oh, Jesus, that fucking song! It just loops, and it just gets stuck in your damn head. I hate it.
Somebody's waiting for you somewhere down the road. Keep right on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving.
Lynn then decides to call her father, and we get more awkwardness. This movie shouldn't be titled Pigs. It should be called Awkward Conversations.
Hello, Dad? I can't hear you. Please speak up. Of course I want to be with you, but I can't come right now. Listen, I love you very much. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I love you very much.
You gotta love that she kisses the phone. She's clearly not insane. But on a more positive note, at least that stupid music isn't playing. God damn it!
I found this in the field.
You did?
Thought you might know something about it.
The creepster Ben found the nurse uniform and he decides to confront Lynn.
Why me?
Oh, just a hunch.
Aren't you presuming a lot?
No.
I think you are.
I'm sorry.
God, is he creepy.
Why don't I pick you up at 8?
I'd rather not.
Who the hell would go on a date with this guy?
Come on, baby.
Oh, she did? Well, I guess she is insane. And the date goes about as well as you would think.
Why don't you try a young man like me, huh? You don't like me, baby.
Oh, no! No!
Hey, turn that damn light off. You're parked illegally, aren't you, Ben?
Like hell I am. Turn that light out.
Going by the cafe, Sheriff?
And now? Hey, what's going on?
Well, at least she got as far from Ben as she... What the fuck?
You certainly surprised me.
I like surprises.
Yeah, me too.
So they went back out together? Why? Would you go out with this fucking guy who has an oily sheen over his skin, can't eat a sandwich, who has fucked up teeth and tried to rape you? And if all of those reasons aren't enough not to be anywhere near this guy, this is the biggest reason why you shouldn't be anywhere near him.
What do you see?
I am literally trying not to puke in my mouth at this moment. This guy is underneath the covers, gyrating, possibly jerking his hog off. Now who the hell needs to see this? Those sheets are gonna need to be burned after he's laid on them because of the amount of fucking oil this guy secretes. Like, jeez. And as he waits for Lynn to come, I bet he was expecting something else, but boy is he in for a surprise. He's about to be murdered. Well, they're now gonna have to burn those sheets anyways. With Ben dead, Zamboni doesn't have to worry about what to feed his pigs because he just cuts up his gross ass and feeds it to him. The next day, Lynn goes bye-bye.
Help me. Help me. Help me. Help me.
What the fuck was that? A T-Rex or a pig? This scene is pretty nuts, but I think it's missing something.
Somebody's waiting for you. Somewhere down the road. Keep on driving. Keep on driving.
Help me. Help me.
That's much better. All right, enough of that tangent. What were we doing? Oh, talking about this stupid plot. What happens? This happens.
I'll bet that Zambrini has a new pig now. That young man is dead. And he's a pig now. That young man is a pig.
Ooh, goody. More talk about people turning into pigs. But I think in Ben's case, he was already a pig. Because he's a fucking... Really, Talk Time? You're gonna interrupt now on that joke? Ugh, whatever. Our dopey old sheriff goes to Zamboni's to try and clear up this matter, and how does Zamboni answer him?
How long was he here?
I don't know, about an hour or so. I don't remember. I want to forget it. What's that?
I told Frank, my deputy, to take a look at him.
Oh, no, I don't like anybody fooling around with my animals. I don't like that.
Great! Your answers are vague and not very clear. You surely know nothing about this. If this scene didn't prove the pure ineptitude of this sheriff, then the next one is sure as peach is going to. It does a really good job of proving the stupidity of this guy.
Dan, that's Ben Sharp's dog there. What's he doing here?
I don't know. I don't know. The dog was here.
Come on, take it easy.
Go on, you're upsetting everything. Get out of here.
It's like, how much more do you need to arrest this Zamboni guy? They have more evidence to convict this guy than they did for fucking OJ. Let's look at the facts. Keep in mind that Lynn did kill this guy, but that really doesn't matter because the sheriff is suspicious of Zamboni. Zamboni is nervous, vague with his answers. His answers are all over the place to the point that he keeps correcting them. He's clearly agitated that they're on his property snooping around. Oily Sheen's dog is next to the pig pen on his fucking property. And then there's that little matter of a severed hand on the ground. And the worst thing of all is that when they go back there, the sheriff looks at Zamboni's foot as he's covering the fucking hand.
Dan, that's Ben Sharp.
Look at him. He is looking at the ground. What else is he looking at? Is he checking out Zamboni? No, he's looking at the fucking ground. How does he not notice the hand on the ground? Fuck. And if that's not bad enough, remember that the deputy was back there this whole time and he was looking around. And the only thing he ever noticed was the dog. He didn't notice the fucking hand on the ground. Zamboni, the sweaty guy who can't tell the truth, he comes out there and notices it in like 5 seconds. I cannot believe how inept these two are. It's like if somebody was standing there with a fucking severed head in one hand and a bloody fucking knife in the other, and they were covered in blood and shit. And these two were the sheriff in that town, they would have a hard time deciding whether or not they should arrest this guy for a crime or not. And after everything that's just happened, how does Zamboni wrap this scene up?
Well, what are you gonna do about it?
I don't know.
He just calls their bluff, and I love the comeback from the sheriff. I don't know. Zamboni's got balls, man. Holy shit. And if you somehow need even more evidence that these cops are completely stupid, check out this exchange.
Maybe that old lady was right. A lot of pigs over there. Maybe one of them is Ben.
Yeah, maybe.
The deputy's best explanation for what happened to this guy was that he turned into a pig. It's like in any other conversation this would make no sense, but with these two Nimrods, it actually works. We're dragged back to the plot-filling old ladies, and thankfully this is their last scene.
Of course, Miss Macy, but Zambrini is a neighbor and he's got his rights too.
What rights does he have? I'm the one that's sick. I'm the one
Now, Miss
that's
Macy,
frightened. He
just
has
be
no
calm.
rights. What rights does he have?
Oh, I know that.
Tell him. Tell him.
Miss Macy, I can't do that. I can't take sides. You know, I can take complaints, which I did.
What does he mean he can't take sides? He's there every day taking their complaints and then going over and harassing Zamboni. Captain Stupid and the doc leave the old Baggs house and they have a little chit-chat about pigs.
They keep telling me about the dead people that he turns into pigs.
Really? Well, that's not so strange, no?
What isn't strange?
The story about people being turned into pigs was claimed that people were turned into pigs, then into gods and goddesses. The ancient Egyptians believed that, you know.
Yeah.
That's right. They didn't eat pigs because they worshipped them.
Well, that's not entirely true, but it may be true. To keep this plain and simple, some people think they ate pigs and some people think they didn't. They also think that the Egyptians might have thought that pigs were abhorrent. The gods Set and Nut were at different points used to represent pigs. But beyond these things, it gets a little murkier involving pigs in ancient Egypt, and it's all really up for debate. Frankly, I figured people wouldn't really care, I just brought it up for completion's sake. Good old ass clown the sheriff decides that he's gonna try to find out what happened to Ben, but this time he's gonna talk to Lynn, but she has other things on her mind.
Did you hear anything? Any kind of strange noises? Pigs.
Pigs always make noises.
Oh, I know, but that night, the night that Ben Sharp disappeared. What did you hear?
I didn't hear anything else.
Lynn, I want the truth. Was there anything strange going on that night?
I don't remember.
I mean, I'm convinced she has nothing to hide. She answers every question with, I don't remember. Any normal law enforcement officer would take her in for further questioning, but as we've seen many times with this ass clown, he's an idiot.
But you heard something, though, didn't you?
I wasn't well. I don't remember.
That's all right, forget it.
Ugh, yeah, great police work once again. The movie's nearing completion. What a perfect time to introduce a new character. He's here to take Lynn back to the hospital. At first she wants to, but then...
Hello. I think I got cut off. Operator? Hello? Hello? No, there's something wrong with his phone. Hello?
Ugh, that sure didn't take long. Well, on the bright side, the pigs can eat again. After a few days, the hospital comes sniffing around for this guy, so they call the sheriff, where he finds out that Lynn is a killer. The sheriff frantically calls Zamboni to warn him that he's in danger, but we know better.
We just got information about her. She's insane and dangerous. Be careful. We're on our way over.
Yes, I understand. Come on. I can't...
Where are we going?
I can't explain it to you.
Where?
I can't explain it to you.
Where's my father?
Come on.
Where's my father?
Come on. Come on now.
Where's my father?
You have no father?
It's a lie.
Lie!
Wow, I'm shocked. She killed him. I would have never suspected that she would kill him with him flailing around fucking just like being all like, oh my god, you gotta go. Ah. Are we really supposed to feel bad about this? I kind of feel like this was a good thing. She did a public service. This guy was feeding corpses to pigs, maybe killing people. We never actually really find out. But worst of all, he's like the most awkward human being to ever walk the earth. Maybe someone's upset about this, but it sure as hell ain't me. Well, the sheriff makes it there with the plot completely over, having done nothing to stop or prevent any of this. Now that Zamboni's dead, you may be asking what happened to Lynn. That depends on which cut of the movie you're watching. There are two endings. Let's look at the 13th pig ending first. Some guy has come to take the pigs somewhere and he finds Lynn's necklace. The sheriff suggests that this guy count the pigs one more time. And then this happens.
Got them all?
Yes, sir. All 12 of them.
You better count them, make sure.
That's funny, Sheriff.
What's that?
You got 13 now.
You sure?
Yes, sir. Tell you what I'll do. I'll send you one for Christmas.
No, thanks.
Oh, by the way, I found this in the pen. Anyone you know?
I guess we have a title. In case you missed the point of that, the crazy lady was right. Lynn became a pig. I left out the part where Lynn feeds herself to the pigs, but she became one of them. And yes, it's as stupid as it sounds. And it makes about as much sense as you would think, which is not much at all. In Ending 2, the film follows pretty much the same beats as the first one, except that when asked to count the pigs, the guy doesn't, and it's revealed that Lynn faked her own death.
That's a terrible way to die, Sheriff. I guess she's better off dead. Well, death report, Lynn Hart, summation.
You got them all?
Yes, sir. All 12 of them.
You better count them, make sure.
Oh, by the way, I found this in the pen. Anyone you know?
I'm not afraid of you. You remind me of my daddy.
Somebody's waiting for you somewhere down the road.
That's right, not only is she alive, but they had to go back and do pickup shots with another actor who we never see her face, and they redubbed a bunch of dialogue. It seems like she became a serial killer or something. I don't know, it never really specifically says. And for one more final kick to the fucking head, that goddamn earworming song starts up again. You know what? Fuck that song, and while we're at it, fuck this movie. And that was the film, if you want to call it a film, Pigs. Which brings me back to my original question, is this still the worst movie I've ever seen? No, but it's still one of the worst. It's probably somewhere in my top 15, 25, I'm not really sure. It's definitely better than Dead Eyes Open, which is probably the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. I will give credit to the director's cut for at least trying to do something a little bit different, but it still isn't very good. So till next time, have a very happy Halloween. Get scared, get some candy, but stay the fuck away from pigs. And while we're at it, stay the fuck away from Dead Eyes Open and don't even consider watching Time Master. You'll be doing yourself a favor. Happy Halloween.
Well, what are you gonna do about it?
I don't know.
Somebody's waiting for you somewhere down the road. Keep on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving. Somebody's waiting for you somewhere down the road. Keep on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving, keep on driving. Oh, don't lay me down and talk to me. Lady, lay me down and talk to me. Keep on driving. Somebody's waiting for you.